Welcome, dear seeker. Today we are going to explore something both deeply mystical and scientifically fascinating, a state of being that many of you have already touched without even realizing it. It is called flow. You may have experienced it while painting, writing, meditating, coding, exercising, or even having a heartfelt conversation. In those moments, the world seems to fall away. Time becomes irrelevant. Effort disappears. And what remains is a quiet, powerful sense of being fully alive. Modern psychology calls this the flow state, a condition of peak performance and deep focus. But long before scientists began studying the brain, ancient sages were already speaking about this same experience using a different language. Among them was Lao Tzu, the legendary author of the Tao Te Ching, a book that has guided seekers for over 2,000 years. His teachings on harmony, effortlessness, and alignment with the Tao describe, with remarkable clarity, what we now understand as flow. This is not a coincidence. Flow is not just a mental state, it is a spiritual alignment. It is what happens when the ego steps aside and something greater moves through us. When Lao Tzu spoke of Wu Wei, or effortless action, he was pointing to the same sacred space where doing and being become one. In this video, we will gently and respectfully explore how ancient Taoist wisdom, modern neuroscience, and your own lived experience all converge in this extraordinary state. Together, we will uncover how flow is not only a key to productivity, creativity, and mastery, but also a doorway into peace, clarity, and spiritual awakening. So please take a breath, settle into the present moment, and allow this journey to unfold. We are not here to force understanding, only to invite it. What is flow state? Modern understanding. Dear seeker, before we explore the spiritual depth of flow, it is important to understand how it is seen through the lens of modern psychology. The term flow was introduced by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, who spent decades studying what makes human beings feel most alive, most fulfilled, and most deeply engaged with life. Through thousands of interviews with artists, athletes, surgeons, musicians, monks, and everyday people, he discovered something remarkable. The happiest and most meaningful moments in life were not necessarily when people were relaxed or entertained, but when they were fully absorbed in a challenging and meaningful activity. He called this state flow because people consistently described it as feeling like they were being carried by a current. When you are in flow, several things happen at once. Your mind becomes clear and focused. Self-doubt and inner chatter fade into the background. You are no longer worrying about the past or planning the future. You are completely present. Time may seem to speed up or slow down, and even fatigue can temporarily disappear. Neuroscience later confirmed this experience. During flow, the brain reduces activity in the regions associated with self-criticism and fear, while increasing activity in areas linked to pattern recognition, creativity, and performance. In other words, the brain shifts from control to cooperation. Flow also emerges when skill and challenge are in balance. If a task is too easy, we become bored. If it is too difficult, we become anxious. But when the challenge slightly stretches our abilities, attention locks in and flow naturally arises. This is not a rare or mystical ability. It is a natural state built into the human nervous system, a doorway into our highest potential. Flow as a spiritual experience. Dear seeker, while psychology explains how flow functions in the brain, spirituality reveals what flow feels like in the soul. Across cultures and centuries, mystics, monks, yogis, and sages have described a state of consciousness that sounds strikingly similar to what modern science now calls flow. It is the experience of being so fully present that the sense of a separate, me, quietly dissolves. In Zen Buddhism, this state is known as no mind, where thought falls away and awareness remains. In Hindu philosophy, it is called samadhi, a state of deep absorption in which the meditator and the object of meditation become one. In Sufism, it is referred to as fana, the melting of the self into divine presence. Even in Christian mysticism, Saints spoke of being carried into God through effortless grace. All of these traditions are pointing to the same inner reality. When the mind stops grasping, resisting, and judging, a deeper intelligence begins to move through us. Action becomes spontaneous. Creativity flows. And the heart feels peaceful and alive at the same time. This is why flow feels so different from ordinary effort. Normally, we act from a place of tension, trying to prove something, achieve something, or protect something. But in flow, action arises from alignment rather than force. We are not pushing the river, we are letting ourselves be carried by it. From a spiritual perspective, flow is a form of surrender, not weakness, but trust in the natural order of life. It is what happens when we stop interfering with the moment and allow it to unfold through us. So when you enter flow, you are not merely performing better. You are touching a state of unity that mystics have spoken of for thousands of years, a quiet, radiant harmony between who you are and what you are doing. Lao Tzu and the Tao of effortless action. Dear seeker, to understand how deeply flow is woven into ancient wisdom, we now turn to one of history's most profound spiritual teachers, Lao Tzu. His timeless work, the Tao Te Ching, is not merely a philosophical text. It is a guide to living in harmony with the natural rhythm of existence, which he called the Tao, the Way. At the heart of Lao Tzu's teaching is the principle of Wu Wei, often translated as non-doing or effortless action. This does not mean inactivity. Rather, it describes action that arises without strain, struggle, or ego-driven force. It is action that flows naturally from awareness, just as a tree grows or a river moves toward the sea. Lao Tzu observed that when humans try to control life too tightly, they create friction and suffering. But when they align with the Tao, everything unfolds with surprising ease. He wrote, "The sage does nothing, yet nothing is left undone." This paradox captures the same truth that flow state reveals. The less we interfere, the more effectively we perform. In flow, you are not micromanaging every thought. You are not doubting yourself. You are simply present, responding intuitively to what the moment requires. This is Wu Wei in motion. Lao Tzu also taught that the ego, the voice that says, "I must succeed," or "I must not fail," is what blocks harmony. Flow emerges precisely when that voice grows quiet. The mind stops grasping, and a deeper intelligence begins to guide action. So when modern science speaks of optimal performance without strain, Lao Tzu would gently smile. He had already described it thousands of years ago, not as a technique, but as a way of being in tune with life itself. Flow and the Taoist wheel of being. Dear seeker, to truly grasp how flow and Taoist wisdom align, we must look at how Taoism understands the movement of life itself. Lao Tzu did not view existence as something to be conquered or controlled. He saw it as a vast, intelligent current, always moving, always unfolding, much like a river flowing toward the sea. One of the most powerful images in the Tao Te Ching is that of water. Water is soft, yielding, and flexible, yet over time it can carve canyons and shape mountains. It does not resist obstacles, it moves around them. It does not strive, it flows. In this, Lao Tzu saw the deepest lesson for human life. Flow state mirrors this perfectly. When you enter flow, you are no longer rigid. You are adaptable, responsive, and fully alive to what is happening. Instead of forcing outcomes, you move with the moment. Instead of fighting uncertainty, you dance with it. Taoism teaches that suffering arises when we push against the natural rhythm of things, when we cling too tightly to expectations, identities, or results. Flow, by contrast, appears when we let go of that clinging. You are not controlling the process, you are participating in it. Modern research shows that people in flow report feeling carried by something larger than themselves. Taoism would simply call this being carried by the Tao. This is why flow feels both powerful and peaceful. You are fully engaged, yet not tense. Fully active, yet deeply at ease. Just like the wheel in Taoist symbolism, whose empty center allows it to turn. It is the spaciousness within you that allows effortless motion to arise. When you live in this way, every action becomes part of a greater harmony. You are no longer separate from life's movement. You are moving with it. How to cultivate flow spiritually and practically. Dear seeker, having explored the meaning of flow, you may now wonder how this luminous state can be invited more often into your life. The beautiful truth is that flow is not something you force. It is something you allow. Both modern psychology and ancient wisdom agree on this. First, cultivate presence before performance. Flow does not arise when you are chasing outcomes. It emerges when your attention rests gently in what you are doing. Whether you are writing, working, walking, or listening, give the moment your full awareness. Second, honor the balance between challenge and ability. Choose activities that stretch you just enough to engage your mind without overwhelming it. Growth happens at this delicate edge, and flow is born there. Third, release the grip of the ego. The voice that worries about success, failure, or comparison is the greatest obstacle to flow. Lao Tzu taught that when we let go of self-importance, natural intelligence begins to guide us. Fourth, create simple rituals of entry. Many artists, monks, and athletes prepare the mind before deep engagement, through breathing, silence, or focused intention. These gentle rituals tell the nervous system it is safe to let go. Spiritually, meditation is one of the most powerful gateways to flow. When you sit quietly and observe the breath, the restless mind gradually softens. In this stillness, you begin to sense the same effortless awareness that later appears in action. Psychologically, flow is supported by clear goals, immediate feedback, and an environment free from unnecessary distraction. Together, these practices create a sacred container, one where effort becomes ease and doing becomes a form of quiet devotion. In this space, flow arises not as a technique, but as a natural expression of alignment with life itself. Flow as a path to inner freedom. Dear seeker, beyond productivity and creativity, flow carries a far deeper gift, inner freedom. When you enter flow, something subtle yet profound happens. The constant inner voice that evaluates, doubts, and compares begins to fall silent. For a while, you are no longer imprisoned by your self-image. You are simply present, alive, and engaged. This is why flow feels so liberating. Normally, much of our suffering comes from psychological tension, worrying about the future, regretting the past, or trying to control how we are seen. In flow, these burdens dissolve. You are not trying to become someone. You are simply being. Lao Tzu pointed to this state when he wrote, "When I let go of who I am, I become what I might be." In flow, you are no longer confined by your habitual identity. A deeper intelligence moves through you, guiding each action without strain. Spiritual traditions have always taught that true freedom is not found by changing the world, but by loosening the grip of the ego. Flow is one of the most natural ways this happens. You do not fight the ego, it simply becomes unnecessary. In neuroscience, this corresponds to reduced activity in the brain's self-referential networks. In spirituality, it is called ego dissolution. 2 languages, 1 truth. When you live more often in this state, life begins to feel lighter. Decisions become clearer. Creativity becomes natural. Even difficulties lose some of their heaviness. Flow, then, is not merely something you enter during special moments. It is a doorway into a new way of being, one rooted in trust, presence, and deep harmony with the unfolding of existence itself. Dear seeker, as we come to the end of this journey, let us pause for a moment and gently reflect on what has been revealed. Flow is not merely a tool for productivity, nor is it reserved for artists, monks, or elite performers. It is a natural state of consciousness, a quiet return to the harmony that already lives within you. Through the lens of modern psychology, we see flow as optimal experience. Through the eyes of Lao Tzu and the Taoist sages, We see it as alignment with the Tao, the effortless movement of life itself. 2,000 years apart, both perspectives are pointing to the same sacred truth. When we stop forcing, life begins to flow through us. You may notice now that the moments when you felt most alive were not the moments of control, but the moments of surrender. When you forgot yourself. When you became absorbed in what you loved. When action and awareness became one. Those were not accidents. They were glimpses of your deepest nature. If you feel called to explore further, the Tao Te Ching remains a timeless companion. The works of Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi offer a scientific mirror to ancient wisdom. And your own inner stillness is the greatest teacher of all. So as you return to your day, carry this gentle remembrance with you. You do not have to struggle against life. You can move with it. Like water, you can adapt, flow, and yet remain true to your essence. Thank you for walking this path with us. If this reflection resonated, you are welcome to like, share, and leave your thoughts below. Until our next meeting, may your actions be effortless and your heart at peace.